For all you advanced people who are back, Rich and I are going to have a free flow discussion, and so we both have done similar things, and but we approach them very similarly. So, talk about recruiting on your side. What are you doing? How do you do it? You've got 800
Yeah. Yeah.
in 20 something states, 4 countries.
26 states. We have 101 listings in the UK right now.
Nice. Very nice. So what are you doing? How are you connecting? What are you doing to recruit?
Okay. So there's what I'm doing now. There's what I did.
Yep.
Okay. What I did is, and I did this in my personal life, right? So my wife is so much prettier and smarter and so much more grounded than I am. So I always went after what I wanted versus what I thought I deserved, right? So I did the same thing with realtors. I went after all the people that everybody was intimidated to call. Why? Back on our last presentation, I got comfortable on the phone. I look for agents that have a vision that are not advancing it, and I go after them and help them advance it. My entire vision is to help as many people advance the vision as possible. And I know that I have a limitation on how many I can do that effectively with. So I try to go after people that I believe in.
Nice. So twofold then. You looked for influencers
100%.
when you're starting.
And
Absolutely.
still do to some extent.
Yes. So it's changed though. So now, influencers, and that's the exact same thing that I did too. I found those influencers that I knew were going to be able to help expand the vision. And now your funnel is going the opposite direction because now your reach is greater and you're making a bigger influence than just concentrating on that front line, basically.
Every business comes down to a funnel to where the owner is the recipient of all of that work, and not undeservingly.
Yes. Oh yeah, absolutely.
We're the opposite. Our founder pours everything in the tip and it pours out to the agents, and then we continue to do that out.
Yep.
The way I think that this works very well here is that if I use like this this algorithm that I learned through my business leadership coach, and I never had a coach until I had so many people following me that I figured I better make sure that I'm not missing anything. So I spent a lot of money, and it was a good investment. So ladder is the acronym if you write it down vertically, and it's recognizing you're in a leadership position, which occurred to me. That was the catalyst of me having a coach, is that I had a few hundred people follow me within the first year. And I wanted to make sure that I was leading them to the right place. E is engaging and connecting. 2 different things, both very important. D is driving results. Okay, the next D is developing other people, which is where I spend almost all of my time right now. A is advancing the vision, and L is your legacy. All right, so our legacies are being made whether we're participating in that or not, right? So I just figured, let me try to mold my legacy to where I can give more value to more people, right? Because you can't bring the money with you. I actually don't even like money. I like options. And unfortunately, money buys a ton of options, but the money itself has destroyed a lot of relationships. And I'm really, really apprehensive about making as much of it as I'm making right now. And I think we're going to have to give away some or do something differently. So I've actually stopped working on getting agents to come directly over to me. I only do that passively because with the 50 agents that I brought over, that's all I can do to make sure that they're successful. If I take on 10 more agents, they get shorted that time.
Well,
Okay.
you are concentrating now, not just on that, but on actually making people successful. You're trying to help those people. And that's a big difference that you see out there from a lot of people.
I promised a lot of things. I got to cash the checks.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So if I have, of the 50 people, not all 50 are going to be successful.
Right.
It just doesn't happen that way.
Right.
So right now I have about 1/3 that are doing phenomenal. So I can't forget about them because they're not squeaky wheels. I have to continue to pour into them. But the 2/3 that are not doing as well as they had hoped, or that I hope for them, I have to look at those people and say, okay, who's pushing their car and who's waiting to be saved? The ones that are pushing their car is who I focus on now. And I continue to do that. And at the end of the day, if I end up having 25 people that become millionaires, that is as much legacy as I can muster up in this faction of my life.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's it's very hard to recruit because it's unsolicited conversation going to an agent that, if your timing isn't right, is very annoying.
Yeah.
Right. So it's a very challenging thing. What I think is very important is that if you can show the value without ever talking about coming to the company, that's probably the way to deconstruct that and get bigger. It might not be at your time pace to what you want it to be, but it'll be a much more a resilient group.
You you just that's exactly what my purpose it was always as well. You know, people, the wrong people will come for the money. The right people will come for the value and the opportunity to get better and to change lives. And that's just, I see that so much, and I see it over on my side, and I know you see it on your side as well, where you've got somebody, oh, I've got 1,000 people that I've recruited. You're throwing a bunch of shit against the wall and seeing what sticks.
What's their attrition? First question I asked.
Massive, huge. I mean, it's not even a question. I know, yeah, I know this is going to get back to somebody, but I know somebody it's 500 people and they've got 32 active. What's that do?
I know.
I've recruited 16. I have 9 on my front line that's active.
Yeah.
And have 2,000 under. That's because every single one of those were those influencers. Every single one of those were people that can make a difference, and they are making a difference. Every single one of them have changed lives.
Robert, amen. We're birds of the same feather here. So what I have an upline and I have a downline.
Yep.
Right. And the upline always quotes all my numbers, and I quote all the numbers of the downline. So
Yep.
None of us are guilt free of quantifying how many agents we have. Right. But one thing that I'm proud of in my downline is that I have so many people that are having good results that make that number up instead of just one hero.
Yes.
A lot of people have one hero. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. Good for them. Right. But I've got several heroes that are doing well. So it's just I'm not worried about compounding money. I'm worried about compounding options.
Yeah.
I have more people that have more options in life than they did 2 years ago when I started this.
Yeah.
So it's a very, very cool thing. It's also a very exhausting thing. And I don't want to get caught up in being in another race with different, new, faster horses to where I only have self-esteem and self-value if I have, I'm probably one of the maybe 20 agents that have over 40 active agents at this company that have unlocked all 7 tiers. And I don't want to compete with them. First of all, it's too exhausting. They're too good.
Yeah.
Right? And I can compete at that level, but who pays the price? My wife, my 2 boys, my parents, my friends, and myself.
Yep.
And I'm not paying with that medium anymore.
Yep.
So if I can be in that top group of horses that break away and I could be the last horse in that group, I feel like I'm winning.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's my philosophy. It doesn't make me right. Yeah.
Well, your philosophy comes from a position of giving and making a difference. It is not from every time that we've talked, it's not it's not about the money. It's about helping people succeed. And that, I think, is why you're having the success that you are.
Yeah. And unfortunately in the game of Monopoly, we're using money as an ability to transact through this life. So with the revenue share, profit share and revenue share, we're the only 2 companies that ever were notable that cycle money back to the agents. An important thing. And everybody's inspired from somebody, right? And people are borrowing stuff from us that people that we borrowed from are borrowing back, and people that are originating are borrowing, right?
Well, all of that is making everybody better too, because you've seen changes on all sides.
So the crazy thing about this whole changing business that we're in is that we don't have the window that it's going to be the way that it is that people think we have. Yeah. It's a shorter window before Amazon and Zillow come out here and put a real dent in the business.
They already are.
They already are.
Zillow will be a full-blown real estate company within the next 6 months.
I don't know why people are spending $10,000 a month with them. We have NAR let us down on that, in my opinion. And then now we're helping we're giving weapons to the enemy.
Yeah.
by giving them advertisement dollars.
Well, and here's what's funny too. And every agent that's watching this, let me ask you a question. If you have a Zillow account, have you shared your Zillow listing on social media? Because you just drove traffic to their site and took it from your own pocket. Well done.
100%. Andrew, can't think of his name.
Yang.
Yeah. He actually was talking about how automated drivers are going to be driving Amazon trucks from busy portal across the Midwest, driverless trucks.
Yes.
And then back when you get to a highly populated area, a driver comes in locally and finishes up the route.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Which affects not only all the truck drivers, but it affects all the diners and restaurants and waitresses, and it affects and then all the sales business, right, is affected, and all the manufacturing and cars are being done on automated arms, right? So as this has gone on, we are now living life in total fast forward. We're never on play anymore.
Yeah.
So when I think about entering the real estate business, and I got a couple young people in this business that are on my team that I care a lot about, I always say to them, if we're spending 9 hours a day right here, then that's where we have to be. And Amazon figured it out, and Zillow figured it out, and if we don't figure it out, it's going to be the death of us if we don't.
Yep. Well, you said a couple of things. There's a theme on everything that you're doing, everything that we've talked about. And this is what will have every agent be able to survive, compete, and thrive as we come up. And that's building a local relationship with people. That's something that Amazon will not do.
It's the only antibiotic there's available for this cold.
There is. Yep. And they've got to figure out that does mean embracing social media, but being active. And as you were saying, actively engaging and aggressively engaging in that process.
My wife is convinced a bird that doesn't like to fly in cages to live in the suburbs, have 2 kids, go to church on Sundays, and drive less than 65 miles an hour.
Oh,
right.
I don't know about that last part.
I can only work within those lanes because of the relationship and respect that I have for my wife.
Yep.
It's molded my behavior that radically.
There you go.
Someone to use you, their trusted good friend, as a realtor over some anonymous Zillow is a much easier process than it was to get me to evolve.
Absolutely.
Right? So the relationship can do anything. I mean, people have sacrificed their lives for friends in battle, right? There's nothing more powerful than love and the human spirit. And if you can have a relationship, it is Teflon to the digital change. Now, that doesn't mean that you can close your eyes and say everything's going to be okay. But boy, is that becoming an obsolete thing. And that takes work, and it takes time, and it takes interest, and you also have to be interesting.
Yes.
Right? So you have to have passions, and you have to have things to talk about, and you have to really care about being a good listener. So those are all things that we need to focus on. And you don't want to hear that on day one because you have a financial problem. I need to make money right away. But as soon as you're able to scratch that itch, and we have recipes for that. As soon as you get to the point where you have your chin above water and you're in the business and you're surviving, you are independently making your own income. At that point, we need to shift the focus to start getting pillars of people that trust and believe in you that will help keep you afloat during the changing, technology stage that we're in.
Spot on, man. Spot on. So we are at our time, and that's a perfect place to cut it. Rich Tomasini, thank you.
Thank you, Robert. It's been a pleasure. I appreciate you having me on here.
Absolutely. Mine too. And I know we'll meet in person one of these days because I'm up in your neck of the woods, or whenever you make it back down to this area too.
Yeah, listen, you're on the West, you're on the Gulf, right?
Yep.
Okay. So next time I make it anywhere in mid-state or West, I will be giving you a call, and I'll come get coffee at your place. Okay?
Outstanding. Deal.
Thank you so much, Robert.
Rich, thank you. You rock.
Thanks, man.
Thank you, man.